What is going on, all you GBA fans? You got Mattybrolic here, probably for the last time in GBA Season 6, which is definitely bittersweet because I'm very, very proud to say that I was a part of this season. But the season is coming to a close, guys, so it's definitely sad for us analysts as well as probably the coaches and definitely for the fans. I mean, it's been such an exciting season that to see the championship, winding down, it's definitely bittersweet because we're excited to see it, but then that means we won't get more GBA action until probably after Sun and Moon. Not 100% sure about that, but probably. So anyway, I am here for GBA Season 6 awards, where I will be reading out all of the list of awards and who won which award and what place certain coaches or Pokemon came in, etc., etc. So definitely excited to be doing this, as we definitely have some pretty interesting awards here and a good way to shout out a lot of the coaches for their hard work and effort. So we will get right into it with the first award being who was the most outstanding coach in GBA Season 6. And at number 3 out of the 3 that were chosen here, we have Mega Mogwai, coach of the Real Maril. Huge shout outs to Mega Mogwai coming back from a rough start. And at number 2, we have Chimpact, coach of the Philadelphia Scizors, a great friend of mine, so congratulations to him. Very nice to see him just join his first official league and come out basically being the best team during the regular season. I know his last game, if he had won it, he would have had the best record in the entire league with, I believe, 9-3 record. But I think even with an 8-4, I'm not sure if he had the best or if he was tied for the best, but he definitely had the best differential regardless, which goes to show how dangerous he is when he wins. He just happens to blow out his opponents. So huge shout outs to Chimpact. Great job. And then at number 1, we have Lord Envy, coach of the San Diego Chim Chargers. So shout outs to Envy. Same thing as Chimpact. Just brand new coach. And, just pretty new to the format, so really, really cool to see someone draft a team with some unusual Pokemon and whatnot, come out and really show it to the league, bring it all the way to the semifinals, which is really awesome. So congratulations to him on winning that award. Now for the second award we have here, it is who was the best 6th Pokemon of GBA Season 6. And what they mean by 6th Pokemon is a Pokemon that came to 6 games or less, yet still made a significant impact. Now, this is a really cool award, if you ask me, because it gives, a good amount of praise to a lot of Pokemon that may have been, not too recognized during the season because either they're overshadowed by some of the other Pokemon that are being used either more often or more effectively. And it also showcases the Pokemon that maybe you just didn't happen to watch the games where these Pokemon did put in the work. So it's definitely nice to see these Pokemon get some praise and some recognition. So out of the 4 that have been chosen, at number 4, we have Mega Gallade, which was owned by Cooper and his Utah Jasmine. He definitely brought some interesting sets with Mega Gallade, and I think Gallade is actually a pretty cool Mega in the format. So really awesome to see it win this 4th place in the awards. So number 3, there's Pangoro, who was owned by Nick and his Boston Red Sox, which is a very powerful Pokemon. And although it is kind of slow and has its flaws, Nick did utilize its strengths quite well, which is why it took 3rd in this award. Now, at number 2, we have Chestnut, which I know was picked up by Chimpact, and he really showed how it could be an offensive and defensive threat. I believe he even had a belly drum sweep with Chestnut, so huge props to him because that is very, very cool. And then number 1, we have Gorbis, which MV really showed how scary this thing can be because it could set up, if you really customize its moves, EVs, and give it a certain item that allows it to easily set up on certain things against an opponent's team, it really is a massive threat because it can set up on so much. And not only can it, smash pass, it can also just smash and stay in and then really threaten a team because it's actually pretty powerful. So huge shout out to him for making a Pokemon that really isn't seen too often, from my knowledge, in the format do so much work. So huge shout outs to Envy for winning both those first 2 awards. Now going on to the next award here, we have who was the most dominant defensive Pokemon in GBA Season 6. Now at number 4, we have Snorlax, who I believe was used by George and the San Francisco Arcaniners. And Snorlax is a really cool Pokemon in the format because its EVs are very customizable, and George really showed how Snorlax can take hits on both the physical and special side and still have a very offensive prowess as well. Now at number 3, there was Registeel, which was coached by the Real Maril, Mega Mogwai, and Registeel, I could tell you from experience, is a really good defensive Pokemon in the format because it could take hits on both sides of the spectrum incredibly well, and it really has an amazing move pool to not make it just too passive where it just gets easily set up on by too many things. So it is very passive, no doubt about it, but it has the move pool to get past that in a lot of scenarios and just has the bulk. It rarely leaves a lot to be desired with bulk, so very, very good utilization by Mega Mogwai. Now, at number 2, there is Steelix. No, actually Clefable. Sorry, I guess I spoiled number 1. There's Clefable, who was owned by Cooper and the Utah Jasmine, and Clefable is just one of the scariest Pokemon in the draft format, and defensively it is even more scary than it is offensively, as with Magic Guard, Unaware, and just pretty solid defensive stats with an amazing support move pool, Clefable can just be utilized so effectively defensively, and Cooper certainly showed that this season. And at number 1, very, very impressively, you have regular Steelix, coached by Chimpact on the Philadelphia Scizors, which I think it's so impressive because normal Steelix has a nice typing. I mean, they both have the same typing, Mega and Normal, but has a nice typing, but its special defense is so low, and it's just not crazy strong. With Sheer Force, it's pretty strong, but just its middling speed, its low Spadef, a decent amount of common weaknesses. It's just not a Pokemon that is usually that dominant defensively, but Chimpact really used it to its strength. So huge shout out to him because that is very impressive in my opinion. So now moving on to the next award, who is the most dominant offensive Pokemon in GBA Season 6. So here we go at number 4. We have Garchomp, which was used by Monotui and the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Garchomp is a very potent offensive Pokemon that, for some reason, you don't see it just being as powerful as other dragons in the format. Maybe things like, the Lottie twins, or even, who else am I trying to think of? I don't know if Dragonite you would say isn't usually as useful, but even Salamence. I see Salamence doing, more offensively in a lot of formats or games, but he really used Garchomp well because Garchomp is an amazing Pokemon with just incredible stats, great move pool, and a very nice speed tier. So Monotui did a great job at utilizing Garchomp to its strengths, which, even though it is a good defensive Pokemon, its strengths do lean towards its offensive. So great job on him, or by him rather, to exploit Garchomp's strengths and use it well to get 4th place in this award. So then number 3, there is not too much of a surprise, Weavile, which was coached by Mega Mogwai and the Real Maril. As Weavile, like I said, not too much of a surprise, just one of the best Pokemon in the format because it is so hard to switch into. Its speed is amazing, and it has just access to so many good moves that really could threaten any team, including things like priority moves and Ice Shard, Pursuit, which is just such a good move to trap a lot of Pokemon. It doesn't even need to be Psychic types necessarily. It just traps a lot of Pokemon, and Knockoff is one of the most spammable moves in the game. So a stab Knockoff coming off a Pokemon with such high stats, or high attack stats and speed stats, it is so scary. So Weavile is an amazing Pokemon, and I think Mega Mogwai used it pretty well. So now going to the next Pokemon here, we have Mega Lopunny, which was used by John and the New Orleans Pelipers. Mega Lopunny is just really solid in the format, being that it has an unresisted stab coverage. No teams have Pokemon that could just, easily come into Mega Lopunny stabs because it's just a strong Pokemon, and even things that are really defensive are going to take a solid chunk from a high jump kick. It's just a strong move, and if it resists high jump kick, return is also a pretty strong move. Retaliate could be good too, and John definitely did a good job with Mega Lopunny, as I believe it was one of the leaders in kills. It was definitely up there at some point in the season, so great job on his part. And then for number 1, really not too much of a surprise, Landorus Incarnate, as Landorus Incarnate is probably the strongest Pokemon in format, at least in the GBA. I know they don't allow Hoopa Unbound, but Landorus Incarnate is just insanely powerful with great special attacking and physical attacking stats. So it can really hit hard on both sides, but especially special with the Sheer Force ability. And then it even has access to a base 101 speed, which outspeeds a lot of bulky Pokemon, making Landorus just a nightmare to bulkier teams. Also carrying some nice support moves in Stealth Rock, good setup moves in Rock Polish Swords Dance. So it is just a absolute freak of nature in the format, and Lars did use it quite well this season, especially in his game against MV Week 4, where he really brought it to an undefeated team. So now, moving on to the next award, we have, I believe this is the last one. Who was the GBA 6 MVP? Now, this is the actual Pokemon, not the coach, as the outstanding coach was already announced. So the GBA Season 6 MVP, there were 4 that were chosen here. At number 4 rather. I'm going straight to 3. Number 4, we have Garchomp. As, like I said, Garchomp is a pretty good defensive Pokemon as well as it is offensive. So Monotui just made such good use out of Garchomp. He brought it to most, if not all, of his matches that I could recall, and was able to make it useful in pretty much all of them. So that just goes to show that Garchomp is that type of Pokemon that can put in the work no matter what. So huge shout out to Monotui for doing that, especially since that wasn't his own team that he drafted. Then the next Pokemon we have on here is my personal favorite, Infernape, and that was used by George and his San Francisco Arcaniners. Infernape, I could tell you straight up from experience, is an incredible Pokemon in the format. Its mixed attacking capabilities are very nice. It's got some pretty nice support options. Its move pool is amazing offensively and even defensively. So its typing even isn't that bad either. It's got a pretty decent defensive and very good offensive typing. So Infernape is just incredibly useful, and George really showed that, because that thing put a lot of pressure on teams, and even was able to fulfill some interesting support and little gimmicky roles throughout the season. So huge props to him for using my favorite Pokemon so well. Number 2, we have Mega Ampharos. Now, Mega Ampharos is a pretty solid Pokemon in the format because its Electric Dragon typing is very good. It's really good defensively and even pretty solid offensively, considering it has the Mold Breaker ability too, which is nice. And yeah, it is just powerful but really bulky and can utilize defensive sets really well, as well as agility. I know MV liked to run agility quite a bit with his Ampharos this season, and that is a very scary threat as well. So Mega Ampharos can be a great baton pass recipient. It can just set up agilities on its own and clean up teams, and it is just such a good bulky pivot with, things like Rest Talk, Volt Switch, Dragon Pulse. Really powerful Pokemon. Very, very good pickup for the Chimp Chargers. And for number 1, the Season 6 MVP on the team of the Philadelphia Scizors, coached by Chimpact, Mega Diancie. Now, when he drafted Mega Diancie, I said, that is a good Mega that I think Chimpact would be the player to really show how good it can be, because it's not an easy Pokemon to use. I don't think it's necessarily one of the best Megas in the format, but Chimpact was able to show how threatening Mega Diancie could be, especially when played well, which he did throughout the season. So Mega Diancie is the Season 6 MVP, and definitely opened some eyes, because I do not think that people really thought Mega Diancie was much of a good Mega before this. So that will about wrap it up for the Season 6 award ceremony. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Huge shout outs to all the coaches for winning these awards and using these Pokemon or just doing certain things well throughout the season, because they put a lot of work into this stuff, guys. I could just tell you from experience playing in other draft leagues, it is it's stressful and it takes a lot of time to really succeed in these leagues. And most of the people winning awards here are coaches that did do well and did succeed. So it takes a lot of time, and these coaches are putting in that work and effort week in and week out to win these awards. So huge shout outs to them. Hats off to them 100%. And I really, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I enjoyed being an analyst this season so much, and I hope to see you all soon. Stay tuned for the championship and the rest of the GBA channel videos. Go check out all the coaches, analysts, everything. And with that being said, hope you all have a fantastic day. Later.